Alrighty. Nerdy balls here. Alrighty, so I'm doing some refresher with HTML and there's loads to read. So I thought I'd read it to myself for my future self. And there was also some information that I can never remember, but it's useful. So it's right here. I'm gonna copy this into my notes. I know it's available online, but I do like to have my notes. And then, I don't know, it somehow is saved in my mind. So let's dive into it. First time I'm reading something on a video. So, an HTML doc type will usually start with a type declaration, which is not a tag, so it should not have. Oh, hold on a sec. I forgot to. I need to hear myself, so I'm just gonna adjust it so it's late, so I don't shout too much. Let's go. Which is not a tag, so it should not have a closing tag. The HTML doc. Alright. The declaration helps the browser to determine what type of HTML document it is trying to parse on display. If you've ever looked at an older version using DevTools, you might have noticed a doc type that looks like this. So what do we see here? Doc type HTML public, W3 something, probably like an older version, 4.01. And trigger standard mode, but this specifies an older form of validation. Or maybe you didn't see a doc type at all. So it was something like that, and then it triggers quirks mode, if that's how you read it. This is bad. But newer websites and your website will have a declaration that looks like this. So we have a bigger sign, exclamation mark, doc type HTML. Man, I don't understand why can I never remember this, but I know it's there. Alrighty, triggers a standard mode with all updated features. Browsers look for this doc type declaration to determine which rendering mode to use to render the site. Generally, newer sites follow standard HTML specifications. The current standard HTML specification is called HTML5, which is what you're learning. Way. On the other hand, older sites created before HTML standards really existed might use a different rendering mode that imitates the behavior of older versions. Alright, let me just go over it again. Sites created mode that might use different rendering. Alrighty. If you are interested in reading more about doc type declarations and different rendering modes, you can read about them here. Not at this time, thank you. Once you've declared the doc type, next part of HTML declaration is the HTML tag, which tells the browser that everything enclosed inside the HTML tags, opening HTML tag, closing an HTML tag, should be parsed as HTML. Then you have the two main sections of the HTML documentation, head and body, which actually somehow made more sense when I read it this time. So yes, nice, beautifully organized over here. Basic HTML tree structure. So we're going into head and body. Oh dear, let's not enlarge it yet. The head will contain general information and metadata, and the page, while the body will contain the content that will be displayed on the page, whereas an example tree structure for a full HTML document. Here's a nice lovely graph. So head is just data about the page, and then the body is the body. Here you can see that it created like a nav bar, and then like some heading, image, and paragraph already. HTML tree structure. All of the all of the HTML syntax that you've learned in this lesson will help you create the content of the page, which is always contained inside the body tags. The body is always visible. The head, on the other hand, is never visible, but the information in it describes the page and links to other files the browser needs to render the website correctly. For instance, the head is responsible for. Okay, this is the good bit for me. So we have obviously the doc type, the document title, the text shows up in the browser. Okay, about me title, great. Associated CSS files for styling links. So this is a good bit for me. Links, related style sheet, type text CSS, href style.css. Associate the JavaScript files, multi-purpose script to change rendering and behavior. And this is also a good thing to remember for me. Script, source, animated CSS, the characters being used, the text encoding, meta characters, keywords, authors, and descriptions often used for SEO. Okay, this one I'm curious of, so let's just quickly open it. Okay, search engine and optimization. We're not gonna dive into that now, but it's there. At this point, just focus on these two pages: title, about me, metadata, characters, and then there's some characters. Meta characters UTF-8 is pretty standard and will always allow your website to display any Unicode characters. Later more on title will define the title of the document and will be displayed in the tab of the browser window when a user visits the page. Alrighty, so here is a nice template: doc.html, head, the meta characters, title, this title, head, and then there's just one hello full HTML template. HTML validators. This might seem like a lot to remember, but thankfully there are tools out there to help you, much like how the Udacity feedback extension tells you when you've met all the requirements for a particular project. HTML validators analyze your website and verify that you are writing valid HTML. So there's some sort of validators. Let's just have a quick look about this. Markup validator service. Okay, so there's some validator service here. This validator checks markup validity, web documentation, HTML. I shall. Do you know what? How shall I do this? I shall just save this link. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, future me. I am going to save it in my notes, just in case someone else is watching and is wondering. I am using OneNote. Oh, okay, now you know who I am. God damn it. Anyways, and I'm just gonna put here can I just copy the name? I'm just gonna write here HTML great. Sorry if I spell something wrong. That looks just fine. Let's carry on. Question 1 of 2. Using the HTML validator, what happens when you enter the following HTML into the validator? Alright, I'm going to finish the video here. And let's do the exercises. Where is that beautiful button? Okay, amazing. Thank you, past me. Or future me. I don't know. Toodles.